All right, hello everyone, and thanks for joining us today for another series of MDTAP's AT webinars. I am James Whitney. I work at the Maryland Assistive Technology Program, and I will be leading today's webinar on scanning pens and smart pens, and talk about a few different products and devices that we have here today. I'm sharing my screen right now. If there's any reason my screen is not being shared, someone please type in the chat and let me know. But it looks like it is sharing. It does reflect that on my screen. So anyway, we are the Maryland Assistive Technology Program. I do like to start these things off with a slight background, just for anyone who might not be aware of kind of who we are, what we do. Um, we are a statewide AT Act program. So there is 56 of us in the nation. Every state does have a program like ours. And I'm not going to go super in depth into this background, but just to kind of lay a little groundwork for kind of what we do. So basically, we are here with a library of assistive technology products and devices. And we are able to offer free consultations with our Maryland residents. In order to qualify for our services, you just need to be a Maryland resident and have a disability or work with folks who have disabilities. So if you're an OT, PT, SLP, caregiver, service coordinator, special education teacher, and so on and so forth. It's not an exclusive list, but if you work with folks with disabilities or have a disability or a family member has a disability, you qualify for our free services. And that essentially means that you can use our library of assistive technology products at your disposal for free loaning. So you can basically come to us and borrow devices for free that we physically have in our possession. That is a major requirement, is that we actually have physical access to that device. If so, we are happy to loan that device out to our clients for 30-day trial runs to allow folks a chance to, learn more about, what companies exist, what products are those companies making, how do those products work, and can I borrow it and try it out at home or work or school? The answer to that last question is yes, of course. So I'm an occupational therapist. That is my background and education. And I have kind of specialized more into the assistive technologies that can assist folks who have disabilities become more independent, increase quality of life, increase success with outcomes, and all that kind of good stuff. So, I'm going to kind of fly through some of these slides because I will send the slide deck out to everyone. So I like to have some of these things in that slide deck for reference. So I'm not going to spend too much time on these things. We do have an assistive technology slide that kind of just goes over what AT is, but AT is anything that can increase your independence and success with tasks. So anything from an elevator could be considered assistive technology to eye tracking software and hardware that can allow someone to get on the computer hands-free by just using their eyes, all of which can be considered assistive technology. And we do have a little cartoon here that is a video that explains and kind of in layman's terms what assistive technology is and how to utilize it. Um, so really quick, we offer consultations. We guide folks on AT devices that they can try out, borrow, and train them on how to use that stuff. We also offer a financial loan program that folks can get financial loans from us to assist them with getting access to funds to purchase assistive technologies sooner than later. So, if insurance isn't covering something and you're out of pocket buying it, but you need a little bit of like a financial assistance in order to do so. We do have a financial loan program and two wonderful loan officers who handle those inquiries and applications. We also do accept donations of used assistive technology that we can then give out to other folks in the community. So we are always accepting donations and giving donations back out to folks. So it does depend on what's been donated as to what we have available in that program. It's always worth checking with us to see what we have. And of course, we do webinars like today. And we also have an IT accessibility initiative that Stephen and Dan on our team both operate and run. And that helps with digital accessibility as far as websites, PDFs, slide decks, word processing documents, et cetera, and making sure all those things are accessible in a digital format. So that includes screen readers, captioning technology, and so forth to make sure that all folks can interact with those digital experiences, whether it's websites or PDFs, documents, etc. Um, so that's kind of our bread and butter here, those services we offer. And we also have a 3D printing lab. So we are able to 3D print low-tech items that we can actually give out to folks. So we do have that on our website. And I'm flying through these intentionally, so it will be on the slide deck I send out to everybody. So we do have some community AT library sites across the state, housed at the Centers for Independent Living. And we work hand in hand with Western Maryland's Resources for Independence, and Southern Maryland's Center for Independent Living, as well as contractors of ours that help us reach folks in those areas of the state. So we do have representation that is not just in Baltimore, Maryland, but we do have a few different satellites, AT libraries in different areas as well. So if you can't get to Baltimore, you may be able to get to something closer to you, or I and we are happy to meet on Zoom and we can do virtual meetings as well. And this is just a slide about our reuse program I just mentioned that accepts donations and we give donations back out. We do have an online equipment exchange that is online. That is a Facebook yard sale page that can basically pair up consumer to consumer. So, hey, I have this and I want to get rid of it, and hey, I need that and I'll take it. So it kind of works like that. It is sometimes being sold, sometimes things are being given away for free, but that is part of kind of what we supervise. So that is a Facebook yard sale page. We don't tell people how much to charge and what to put on there. We just help facilitate that page and help connect people together. But stair lifts go on there, adaptive driving vehicles have gone on there. Um, it could be as simple as like adult diapers, and it could be as expensive and high tech as a wheelchair accessible van. So there is quite a range of what you might expect to see on there, but it really just depends on who's posting what and how much they want to charge, and we do not dictate that. We just help moderate the page. But that is a Facebook yard sale page. That is our online equipment exchange. Folks can exchange things together. And of course, there is durable medical equipment reuse through the Maryland Department of Aging. So if anyone needs durable medical equipment who lives in Maryland, you can send an application in and retrieve and receive free durable medical equipment. And that could be anything from rollators, walkers, wheelchairs, hospital beds, bedside commodes, shower chairs, etc. Scooters, power wheelchairs, if I said that. All that can be found at the Department of Aging's Durable Medical Equipment Reuse Program. That is no cost to Marylanders. And there is a couple places for pediatric durable medical equipment as well. Um, Equipment Connections for Children and the Lollipop Foundation. This slide is actually an error that is now called Ryan's Place. Same nonprofit. They have a change of name there. If you actually type in Lollipop Kids Foundation, Ryan's Place will pop up. So you can still type that in. But that is for pediatric durable medical equipment or durable medical equipment for our small humans in the world. So for our kids and anyone who is or anyone who needs a smaller device that is not considered standard. It could be adults that also use those services as well. I've been told it's just smaller equipment. And the funding. I already kind of went over this, but we do offer financial loans for assistive technologies, and that can include driving vehicles, home modifications, speech devices, etc. So we do have all that as well. All right. So I just like to kind of go over some of that stuff just for anyone who's not aware of kind of our services and what we do. It is important to spread the word about who we are so that people can come and use our services. So scanning pens and smart pens. So I'm going to actually demonstrate a lot of these devices today. So I'm not going to rely too much on the slides. I'm going to actually do a couple live demos. But basically, a scanning pen, you have a digital pen in your hand. For anyone who's looking at my thumbnail video, it's a handheld digital kind of highlighter. And what you can kind of do is scan over top of text and have it digitized so I can read it. I can hear it out loud by just scanning a word. I can hear it. My phone is beeping. I apologize. And then I can get definitions of that word, hear it out loud, scan it. I can save those files if I want. I can access them later. And that can help with like reading comprehension, study guides, staying on top of my just written text and being able to understand and kind of answer my own questions. So if I have dyslexia or any kind of reading processing impairments, I can have a little bit more independent experience of being able to answer my own questions, scanning those words, figuring out definitions, and continuing my reading and so forth. So that's kind of in a nutshell what a scanning pen is. I'm going to show you a couple options of scanning pens today as well. A smart pen. I have a smart pen here as well. A little bit different than a scanning pen. A smart pen, because a scanning pen, you actually scan the text. So I'm scanning printed text. A smart pen is actually an ink pen that can connect to your phone or computer. And as I'm writing with my ink pen, it's actually showing up on my cell phone or my computer. It's like the actual strokes I'm making are reflected in that in real time. So I can watch my paper have a piece of ink on it, and I can watch that populate over to my digital computer or phone or tablet. And it can also record audio. So if I'm in a lecture or a meeting or there's a presentation going on, I'm taking notes. I can take notes on a piece of paper and it'll capture the audio of what's being spoken at the same time. So then when I'm going back and I'm reviewing notes, I'm getting, I've written them down. I have the printed or I have the written text I can reread. And I can also hear the audio of what was occurring in real time while I was writing those notes. So it can be pretty powerful for studying and comprehension. And, um, maybe I'm not comprehending technically everything in the moment, but I can go home and reread my notes. I can have all that audio played back, and I can find just more time to actually read, process, understand, and take more notes on top of that. So that is kind of an overview of smart pens and scanning pens. So I'm going to talk about a couple of these things and demonstrate them. So without further ado, let's talk about the first device that we have here. And this is called the Scan Marker Reader. And I do have one of these in my hand right here, but basically integrated text to speech recognition. So this is a scanning pen. Also, by the way, I will get to the smart pen at the end, and it'll be scanning pens for now. So we had the scan marker reader, so I can scan words, and I'm actually going to continue sharing my screen for this one because there is a website or an app that I can access. So while I'm scanning any words, it actually populates straight to my computer, and I will demonstrate. So I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen for a moment and reshare it in the right browser. So please excuse me for one moment here while I find my scan. There it is. So now let me share my screen. Here it is. All right. So my scanner is not connected. So when you get this pen in the package, it's going to give you just the pen itself, and it's going to give you a little Bluetooth dongle, is what they call this thing. It's basically a USB Bluetooth plug. If anyone has a USB mouse, or yeah, I guess a USB slash Bluetooth mouse, you have to oftentimes plug in a USB kind of piece, a dongle, and that will actually make the connection between your mouse and the computer happen. So, with that being said, I just plugged that in. Hopefully, everyone can see this. I did share this page. If anyone can't see this, please type in the chat and I will try to adjust. So, I'm going to click on Bluetooth dongle, connect your dongle to the computer, done. And it's going to pop up here. Oh, and I have to turn this on. So, what you can actually do is click this thing in for 3 seconds. One, two, three. And There we go. And now it is turned on. The lights are blinking. It's searching for a device. I had it connected earlier, but it disconnected. So, and of course, you can't find it when I'm live. So let's try this one more time. I'm going to just restart that. There it is. Pen scan BLE4AD E2C. So it's not important other than that sounds like what we want. Pen scan. I'm going to connect that device. The hardest part about some of these things is just getting them on and started, but it just needs a second for that connection to take place. Hmm, there we go. Sometimes you just got to let her have a minute. Okay, so now this is kind of face value. This is what I'm looking at, and what do we have here? So we have a few things to know right off the bat. Live reading mode or read live is here, and that would be as I scan words, it'll just start reading them out loud with audio. So that's what we mean by read, is that it'll physically have audio attached to these things. I can turn that on or off because I might not want it to read everything I'm scanning at the same time. Um, and it's hard to demonstrate what I'm doing physically and what's going to happen on the screen. So if anyone wants to look at my thumbnail, I will be scanning a couple words here. So I have something here that says, AAC consultation. I'm going to actually press this down and just as if I'm highlighting with a yellow highlighter, I just scan those words. Oh, and we got AAC consultatee. So I didn't do a great job finishing that word. So I'm going to backspace that and I'm going to scan over consultation. And it takes a second here. Consultation. There we go. So it got it that time. I just need to be patient and scan a little slower. So I just scan that word and then I can go right below that. And I do understand that this might be hard to see what I'm doing, but I'm just taking this digital pen and I'm literally pressing down. A light lights up and I am scanning this across the page as if I'm using a yellow highlighter and I'm highlighting words. And individualized based on needs of the AAC team. Um, So, the scanners can have error, right? So it's not going to always be just perfect, squeaky clean, but that did a good job. It just put a space somewhere I didn't want a space. But instead of you guys watching me scan words, it's not very interesting. Let's see what the software can do. So I can highlight these words and I can press read selected.
AAC consultation individualized based on needs of AAC team.
And in classic, assistive technology fashion, I have an AAC sheet here that is going through consultation processes. But anyway, so I can have it read out loud. I did try to share audio, so you guys may or may not have heard that actually on your computers or not. Um, but I can make it read out loud, right? So I can just scan words, So if someone hands me a document and I want to take some notes, I can scan, sentences, and then it's basically just a word processor. So I can bold that, I can italicize it. Um, then I can come below and I can write my own notes next to it. Whatever I want to do here is totally fine. Um, but I can adjust those notes. I can change the formatting. And what's really cool is I can change the size of the text. So, I might have a piece of paper with like really small font on it, like a newspaper or something like that. It might have incredibly small font. Then I could scan that and then I could come over here. I can make it 36 point. I can always zoom in on my actual computer as well. And that can give me a whole nother world of zoom. Um, but that could help for anyone low vision who might need to see things at a larger size. But the way they print things out are just, here's 12 point Times New Roman font for everybody. But maybe I need much larger font. So, I might not have a magnifier on me. Or maybe I don't want to use a magnifier because I want to take notes and I want to digitize it. And so I can do all that here. So that's basically how this software works. It's going to have other quirks. I can export this. I can save my files. So if I clicked on export, I could export it to a PDF, a Word document, a JPEG image, um, and even MP3, which would be the audio. So I could actually export what the audio would be saying, and I can send audio notes of everything as well. Um, it does come with a tutorial and all that good stuff that's kind of within this. But without getting too far into it, because I want to save time for the other devices here, it can also translate text as well. I believe it said it had 100 different languages when I was reading the box. So I could take English to Spanish or any other language that it offers within the software. So it's worth checking to see if it has the language you're interested in. Um, and that's pretty much how Shia goes there. And there's other apps and things, and I did not want to do all that. And then I can change the size of my text. I can change my text colors. So maybe black and white's not what I want. Maybe I want like a red or something like that. So I could do all of that here. I can change the line spacing. I can change the word spacing. I can change the letter spacing. So whatever needs to happen to make it more legible, I can do that within this, and I can scan words and read them exactly how I would like to. So that is the Scan Marker Pen. It does have an app for phone, iOS, Android, Windows, Mac. I believe this is cross-compatible from my notes. Um, so that is the Scan Marker scanning pen. And it works really well. So I do like that pen. This is actually a newer one that we've gotten semi recently. So I've just gotten around to playing around with it and learning more about it. But it's pretty cool. It does come with a nice little cap there, so you can cap her up, you can turn her off. And this may not have been super obvious earlier, but when you're scanning words, you just press, there's a little tip here, and then when you click that in, it actually has a little light that lights up. So that's when you know it's actually activated. And then you just scan the words like you're highlighting a word. So that is the scan marker reader. And if I want to turn it off, I just click and hold for a few seconds and it'll turn off. There you go. 3 clicks. Anyway, so if anyone's interested in this pen or wants any more information on it, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we can loan it out to you or just offer more information. Um, so let me go back to my slide deck here. I'm going to try to share my screen and go back and forth seamlessly because I am going to actually go to a camera in a second here. So I'm going to plug that in. Um, All right. Next we have the C Pen Reader Pen, and folks might be familiar with this. This is not a new device. We've had it here for a while. And I think they've actually come out with newer models, but this is the one we have here, the C Pen Reader Pen. So this is another scanning pen. So different company, different pen, but does some similar things. So this is a portable tool supporting independent reading and literacy. You can scan text with this state-of-the-art device to have words read out loud with natural speaking voices, and you can define those words with the highest tier dictionaries in an instant. I pulled some of this text off their website. That's why it has such glaring remarks. The highest tier dictionaries and stuff. It's funny. But the reading pen also features a voice recorder and supports to store scanned text. So I can actually store things I scan. I can access them later. Um, so I'm gonna play around. Whoops. We're gonna get to that in a second. I'm gonna change my camera here, and we're gonna switch to my external camera. Yep, and that worked. So basically, with a scanning pen, I'm gonna turn this guy on. It's got a nice power button. And you have a few options here. So right when I turn it on, I'm sorry about the glare. I can't help some of that. You do have a pad here on the left side, left, right, up, down. So I can go through my menu by pressing the down and up keys. So at face value, we have date, time, and your power bar or how much power you have left, top right, text reader, dictionary, scan to file, and then our audio recorder, and then settings, of course. So in settings, actually, really quick, it might be worth showing. You have language and things like that. Exam lock that can it can lock folks out of being able to access stored files. So that is a cheating concern, is that folks, if you were using this in a classroom setting, I could ahead of time scan a bunch of stuff and save it to my device and access that and cheat. But they have a lock, so I could actually lock out of that. But what's really important here is left and right-handed, because that will change how this operates. So I'm right-handed, so I'm going to have that on a right-handed. If I was left-handed, I would switch that setting because then it'll work like this. But if I'm in right-handed mode, it'll think everything's backwards if I do it like this. So you do need to change left versus right-handed. And then everything else can be explored, just kind of at your own pace or leisure. Um, with speech settings, volume, rate of speech, all that kind of good stuff. So anyway, text reader. So like let's just go down the line here really quickly. There's also a headphone jack part of this device, and it operates on a micro USB. So charging. So if I go to text reader, boom, and it works kind of like that last device, right? So I just press this down. It does light up a little bit, and I can scan some words. And so I know nobody heard that because I barely heard it, but just because the volume's not very loud on this right now. But it just read that whole sentence out loud for me. And it says SLP facilitates and conducts trials to collect. And that's just where the line stopped. Um, so at face value, I just got to hear all of that in an audio format. So now I can read it, I can hear it out loud, and I can even make it, read it again, or I can go back to a certain word. I can click on that word and it'll read it again. So if I need to hear something a couple times, understand how that word's pronounced, maybe it can help me understand what the sentence means with context clues. Also, you have a dictionary built into this device here. Um, so this is English to English. And there is another pen that I'll show you that can actually translate language. Um, and the scan marker pen can also translate language. But if I scan something that says, right here it says data. I scan the word data, and down here it gives me, and I know this might be a little blurry, a series of observations, measurement, or facts, semicolon, information. Two, also called information data. So on and so forth. So now I have a scanning pen that I can literally put in my pocket. I can pull out whenever I need it, and I can define words on the spot. Um, this could be helpful just for hearing it out loud, getting a definition, and obviously we all have phones on us now. But maybe, you don't have a smartphone. Maybe you're not super tech savvy. Maybe you're, for any reason, you might not be able to access the phone and Google something. And also that takes time. I got to pull my phone out and I got to Google a word to get a definition. Or I can read, scan, and I might have a little bit more fluency with my reading, and my studies. Instead of getting distracted by the phone, I can just stay locked in and scan with this. Um, so that is essentially the scanning pen here. I can get definitions, hear it out loud, and you can scan and save some of these files. And you could export them or just have them local to this device. It does have a hard drive in it. I'm not sure how many gigabytes it holds, but I could find out for you. But lastly, let's just check out that recorder really quick because some folks might want audio. So I can record, I can press OK to record. Testing one, two, three. This is James Whitney. I can pause that and I can press OK to continue. We are live again. And then that's how that works. And I can just hit the back button. It just saved that as a .wav file. Um, and then I go to play recordings, and here is the recording I just did. It would have a list if I had more than one. And I know no one's probably hearing that, but it's everything I just said is just spitting back out. And it'll play that over and over again until I stop. So that is how this pen works. This is the C Pen Reader Pen by scanningpens.com. You can find these online. Super easy to use. Next, let me go back to my slide deck and appreciate everyone bearing with all the jumping around here. Um, all right. So next we have the C Pen Connect. And this is same company that made the last pen, the C Pen. This is the Connect. So this one doesn't have a digital screen on it. This one actually connects to an app on your phone or tablet. And I will demonstrate that here as well. Um, I'm going to try to turn this on because, of course, it powers off when it's sitting. I did have this fired up a second ago. And we'll see if it'll play nice with me. Bear with me for one moment here. Don't you love when things were just working and then they won't turn on? May have to play with it. Maybe it died. That could also be what happened. All right. Well, don't love that. I am coming right back. I'm just going to throw this over here. I apologize for that. I'm going to throw it on charge and I'll try it again in a second here. But basically, it does the same thing. Um, but it does connect to an app on your phone. Let me see if I have any files here from before. Nope, of course I deleted them all. But I can show you really quick if I stop sharing my screen. It does give you an app here on your phone that I have my dictionary options, my translation options, my file browser for any files I've created, and I can start and stop new sessions. Um, and I think it's lighting up over there now. So maybe it just died on me. Um, but anyway, so that's how it works. So as I'm scanning words with that, it doesn't have a screen on the actual device itself, like the C Pen has the screen. The Connect uses an app on your tablet, computer, or phone that as I'm scanning the words, they actually just pop up here. And then I can do all the same stuff. I can change the size of the font. So this gives me another chance to play around with just overall how visually legible everything is. I can change the letter spacing, word spacing, line spacing, the theme. So like some folks like maybe a cream or yellow background with black text on it, or white, or rose colored, or black and white text, all of that. And then I can scan my words, hear them back. I can play, pause. I can do audio recordings, all the same stuff. It basically just gives you the phone piece that operates with the pen. So you might have a little bit more um, possibilities with how you can overall manipulate the text and things like that with the digital plugin here on your phone. So I'm going to move forward because no one likes to see a guy struggle with getting a device turned on, right? But I will come back to it at the end. Um, let's move forward because we are at 136 and I want to show you a couple more things. So anyway, the Connect digital highlighter. That's what all these things kind of are, the scanning pens, digital highlighters. And you can learn additional words and language you might not have known. You can translate language to another actual language. that you're learning or getting familiar with. You can save your text and define everything. So, a couple reasons why you might want to use the C Pen. And real quick, there is also the Lingo pen. And this is all these three are by the same company. And we have these physical pens here. So I'm showing you things that we physically have in our library so that folks can come and try them out if you'd like. There's of course, lots of different companies and options that exist, but here is the Lingo pen. So basically, this does all the same stuff as the last two, but it can translate. So I'm just going to show you really quick what that might look like. So if I go to dictionary, it has your text reader, it's got your dictionary, it's literally the same device, but I can go English to Spanish on this, or Russian to English, English to Russian, Italian to English, English to Italian, German, so French. So as you can see, it has a number of different languages within it. It obviously won't have every language in the world, but it does have a fair bit. So, so English to Spanish, let's just go there. If I, highlight a word, let's say conducts. So I just highlighted conducts. And then if you see here, it'll say conducts behavior. There's some English. But then if you go down, I know this is hard to see, comportamiento. So it does give me some Spanish translations here. Sorry, I'm trying to get the lighting right. But it does go through and then define it in Spanish. It tells you that word in Spanish, um, because that's the language I've chosen. It even has sentences in here. So it has English and Spanish. So this is great for, someone learning a second language or just overall might need help with a couple words here and there to help increase their fluency with reading in a different language. So it'll even give you a sentence in English, the rules of conduct of the school. It'll give you that same, it'll give you that same sentence in Spanish, las normas de comportamiento del colegio. So it does give you all of that. So anyway, other than that, pretty much the same device. So I'm not going to go too much more into this one, but translation. So they call it the Lingo pen for the translation pieces. I'm going to put that away. We are going to go back to my slides here. And next, there is also the same company, C Pen or scanning pens. They also have an actual exam reader pen. So for any education institutions, schools who might have a student using one of these per their IEP, um, they could require it to be an exam reader, or maybe that's the one that they have at the school. So maybe a student uses his own C pen, but the school actually has maybe an exam reader pen there. Either way, it doesn't allow any recording and it doesn't allow file saving. So it strips a couple of those functions out of the device so that there's no cheating being involved or accessing old study guides and things like that. We don't have this one here, but it's probably not worth a demo because it does all the same things. You just cannot access stored files. So they do have that as well. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. Next, we have the Iris Pen Reader 8, and this is a new one for us. So this is a scanning pen, and it's a little fancier than, say, the C pen I just showed everybody. So I will do a demonstration of this one. I'm going to power her back on. But as far as functionality, it's touch screen. So this does have touch screen options, and it has a couple tactile buttons as well. But it's turning on there. But again, I can scan text as a highlighter. I can get that text to be read aloud from the device. It can help in multiple languages. We have audio recording. So again, a lot of the same stuff here, but there is a bonus feature. And let me stop sharing my screen again. So if we can see here, I can scan to text and save. And then it has a do-it-yourself text to speech. We have live recording and photo OCR. And that's going to be our newer feature on this is the photo OCR. and I can actually take a picture of a whole page and get OCR of that page. So say we're just gonna scan the text. Let me tap on that touchscreen, select the plus button to add a scan. I'm gonna select that button. And it says scan as vertically as possible, meaning, kind of straight up and down is how this device likes to be. Um, so let's see how we do here. And I scanned AAC consultation. I do like that it was able to get that accurately. And then, oh, whoops, I had pressed some buttons here. And there we go. So I can scan, and I do like this one too. Because if you can see here, it does have a little notch or line drawn on this. So that's how you know kind of like where you want this to be on the words. So, because as the text gets smaller and smaller, it does get increasingly harder to be accurate with these things. So it does help having that line I actually truly like really appreciate because it allows me to know as long as that line's going over the word, I know it's going to highlight that word. Um, so it's doing a good job here. And then what I could do is then save this. So I'm going to hit check mark. We can save that. I can always access it later and I can keep adding to it. I could even pull up a keyboard. It has a on-screen keyboard and all that right within this device. Um, so that can be a nice way to scan words, just like the other devices do. Um, So that is just scan to text. So if we do text to speech, it has sentence or word options. So a whole sentence would be, I'm going to do a whole word here. New motion team will collect and review all documentation required by insurance. And so as you can see, I had to pick up and go down a line, but it still was able to. Motion team will collect and review all documentation required by insurance and that's where I stopped. I stopped at the end, but I did pick it up, put it back down, and continued scanning. And it noticed that it allowed it to happen. And then when I stopped scanning, it just started reading. So I didn't have to press a button there. So it's really nice. It gave me a chance to keep scanning. And when I didn't keep scanning, um, it just started reading. So there's nothing I had to press there. So I do really like that feature. Or you could do one word at a time and you can tap on those words. So really nice to hear it back. Anyway, but it's not reinventing the wheel. It's just kind of a nicer format. Live recording, I can press testing 1, 2, 3. I can stop that. I can go back to it. So I can record. Whoops. Actually, it was this one. Testing 1, 2, 3. I just recorded that. So I can take, audio recordings, scanning pens, and here's the cool thing here. And this is photo OCR. So an OCR device stands for optical character recognition, and that stands for fancy way of saying it can scan a whole document and read it out loud to you by using a camera. So this actually has a camera here on the bottom side. I guess you call that the bottom or the belly. I don't know which one. Anyway, the bottom white side here, there's the camera. But essentially what I could do is I'm going to try to demonstrate this with a camera and another camera. So it's getting kind of wonky, but let's just take a picture and see what it captures here. So obviously this did not get the whole page. It shows me kind of what it got. I can expand that box a little bit. I'll click my check mark. So I could actually like change that box and I can cut out some graphics or I could cut out things I don't want it to read. Let's see how it did here. It is loading and there we go. So it got starting at number 3, device trial, and it's gonna have some wonky stuff because it might have gotten some things that, aren't exactly text. And then there we go. SLP facilitates and conducts trials to collect. And I just lost that, but it would then be able to go back and then read that out loud to you. Should be able to. I don't know why it's not reading, but it does read. I tried this before. So you gotta love playing with these things. But anyway, that's photo OCR. I'm not gonna sit here and try to struggle with it, but it does read that out loud, and I will find a way to do that. But that is what we have here with the Iris Pen 8. And we are getting to 147. I have one more thing to show everyone today, and I'll answer some questions. So the last thing today is smart pens. And this is kind of an introduction to all this stuff here. And we can always dive deeper one-on-one or a follow-up webinar. So that was the Iris Pen Reader 8. And so Live Scribe, this is a smart pen here. So with the smart pens, we did say they were different. And this is still on. Great. Um, they are different because they're actually ink pens. So we actually have a pen here to physically write handwritten notes, and we can digitize those notes via the smart pen, and we can even get audio recording while we're taking notes. So, with that being said, we don't want that. I want to again stop with the screen sharing, and let me see if I can show you exactly how this would work. So we go to the Live Scribe app, and what I can do here is here's some old audio files I was just playing around with, and here's some other files here. So I took some notes previously, and I can play back the audio of when I was writing those notes. But let's start something fresh here. So the smart pens actually come with their own smart paper. So if you can actually see this, it says record, pause, stop. You can jump. I can bookmark, jump to position, playback speed, and volume up and down. This pen has a camera inside of it. So it might be hard to see, but I'll try to get it to reflect light. There we go. So if you can see inside there, there's actually a little camera that's right beside the actual ink pen. So when you tap on any of these things at the bottom, it will actually sense that with the camera and it will respond accordingly. Which seems pretty crazy because I was like, there's no way that this actually works, and it does. Um, so if I took this pen, and I'm going to try to demonstrate all this at once, and this might be kind of hard. So I'm tapping over here on the record button at the bottom. Let's see if this will work for me. There we go. So now it's recording audio. Oh, because I'm in Pencast. Excuse me. I don't want to be in Pencast. I want to go back to my notebook. Here we go. So I know this is incredibly hard to kind of like essentially juggle all this. So if I have the app here, I can sign my name on this pen on the right, and it's actually showing up here, which is pretty cool. Like, is that I can take a digital pen, write on paper, and it shows up here on my phone. So that at face value is pretty cool. I'm digitizing my handwritten notes. So I could say, testing 1, 2, 3, I can underline it a bunch of times. I could even draw something over here. Here's a stick figure. Um, and it's right here. So you have this ability to digitize notes. I could then export this somewhere else. So I could email it. I could send it to print. I could open it in PDF, SVG, which would be it says vector artwork, plain text, or a Microsoft Word compatible kind of format. And then I can shoot that out through, iMessage, Gmail, whatever. What I can also do is go to Pencast. Pencast can put together the audio and the video so that I can now see my notes and I can press play and it will actually start playing the audio. I don't, yeah, I'm sure this is probably hard to hear, but I was saying testing into this as I was writing earlier, and now I have that audio. It's associated with this page that I've been writing on, and it's on my phone. So pretty cool stuff. That's a smart pen. And I want to leave time for questions. We have 8 minutes left. So that is one of the smart pens. They do have another version of the smart pen because right here this is by the company Live Scribe, and this is called the Echo 2 smart pen. We did get this recently. So we have this available. Digital pen charges up. You do have to charge it. Um, and they have a newer version of, well, I don't know if it's newer, but they have a different version of the pen. Why is my screen stuck? Let's play the slideshow. I mean, it just won't play the slideshow. Okay. Well, then, oh, of course it did right when I stopped it. Apologies. I have like two slides left. Just gonna get through really quick. And they do have the live pen. So same company, Live Scribe, they have the live pen. And this does similar things here. Super fast connection. You have your smart paper. So you have to buy the Live Scribe paper here. As you can see, as they're writing, it's showing up on the phone. It's going to help with studying, comprehension, organization, all that good stuff. But this pen doesn't rely on built-in microphones and things like that. It relies on the microphone of your phone. So that can offer more accurate audio recording and transcription because the Echo 2 that we have here, this has a built-in microphone as part of the pen. So the audio it's picking up is the pen microphone recording it. And our iPhones and our Androids, they have a lot fancier microphones on them. So you might get a better audio output from your phone and using, say, the Live Pen. It even says this has 14-day battery life. So you charge it up once to 100% and you got 2 weeks with it. Um, and it says 14 plus days, so maybe even longer if you don't use it that much. Um, so the difference between those two is kind of exactly what I said, is using your phone's microphone, so the pen's built-in mic. And real quick, discussion on what we went over today. So, like what disabilities might these devices assist with, and things like dyslexia or intellectual disability, potentially things like Down syndrome, autism spectrum disorder, global developmental delay, even blind low vision, because we were able to scan some text and actually make the size of the text larger. Um, so we could actually blow up the image, we could change the spacing, the line spacing. So that could help with, comprehension and reading, as well as just making it maybe more legible to a low vision user. What are some pros and cons? I mean, I think the pros would be being able to have these devices. I think all I wrote down was cons here, but the pros are, I mean, being able to scan words, hear them out loud, and have a real-time definition of that word, scanning them to your phone, making it easier to export notes, audio recording of lectures and meetings. I mean, there's a lot of utility here that I see. But some cons might be, it's another layer of tech savviness people have to, have. And that is, another digital device to worry about, another thing to charge, another thing to have with you. Not always, ideal for everyone. Charging your pen sounds like a funny thing. And, 20 years ago, people would be like, you're charging your pen, what? But now we have smart pens, right? So things are different and upgrading and, just innovation is all around us. Having to buy special notebooks for, say, the Live Scribe, that could be a con. But also being able to have audio recordings with your written notes is pretty cool, all in one device instead of having like a separate audio recorder and a separate note taker. One more thing to carry around. So anyway, it's all food for thought, With great devices comes, issues with them occasionally, but it could be worth a shot. With that being said, I am going to stop sharing my screen. I am going to open this up for Q&A, and let me put the camera back on myself here. Um, and I think there might be a couple questions in the box. Carol, can this work with CCS TV or reading from a tablet screen? Can this work with CCS TV? Is that like CCTV? That might be what you're saying there. And I guess the quick answer is these operate like kind of by themselves, right? It will pair like the smarter ones, so like your Iris pen or excuse me, the scan marker pen. Those are kind of scanning right to my laptop, tablet, or phone. So as I'm scanning the words, they're popping up in real time. It was like the first one I showed everybody today. Um, so it's not really compatible with like a CCTV or magnifier, but not to say you can't use a CCTV or magnifier to read the content. It might just be playing around with devices that don't get in the way of one another. But they do work on the tablet screens and the computers that have a lot of accessibility features kind of built into them. Virginia, cost of these pens, they're all around $100 to $200. All of these. So I think the scan marker, I think this is like 150. I think the Iris pen was about 150 as well. I think the C pens are around 120, if I'm not mistaken. But don't quote me on these prices. I may be slightly wrong here, but I don't think anything's over $200. But again, don't quote me on that. Um, I know the Live Scribe pen. I just looked this up. It was $75 for just the pen, but then you got to get your paper because it does need the actual Live Scribe paper that's compatible with the camera in the Smart Pen. So it does require that. So that's an additional purchase. But for $100 to $200, you can get a Smart Pen and start using it. Um, what do you have for hand damage besides recording? Is there anything that makes writing easier? Um, that's a great question, Sandra. So making writing easier. So I think we're kind of getting into the world of um adaptive writing aids or handwriting aids. And we do have handwriting aids here. We do have a couple different devices that are, like physical pen holders that might, so instead of me having to hold the pen myself, I can just move around a pen holder. And I don't have those out here today to demonstrate, so I don't have them handy. But Sandra, I'd be happy to talk to you about a couple options and see if you're, interested in any of those. But there are certainly plenty of writing aids that exist out there that can help folks with handwriting. Um, so that can make it easier, or maybe, if anyone has arthritis or anything like that, it can make it increasingly harder to hold on to a pen with all those distal joints in our fingers that can get achy and sore. Um, or, any other kind of damage or injury or repetitive stress that's been, happening to your hands. Is there financial assistance for these? And in short, yes. There's financial assistance for some things, insurance, I could probably tell you right now, is not going to probably cover a smart pen for you. Insurance likes to see that there's medical necessity for something before you buy it. So is it medically necessary that I have an audio recorder of my lecture notes? No, it's not. Um, it might improve my quality of life and it might make things a lot easier for me. And I wish insurance would cover more things, but they wouldn't. So, out of pocket's going to be the name of the game or some type of assistance outside of that. So, I did mention earlier we do have a financial loan program here for financial loans, but again, that is a loan, not a grant. So there is payback terms, there is all of that involved, and there is the application process does have some qualifications. There is the Centers for Independent Living throughout the state of Maryland who do have grant funding occasionally, depending on their budget and how things are going that year, to help folks purchase certain things. So it does depend what county you live in as to what Center for Independent Living you'd reach out to. Um, but I have a list of those I can send to you, or if you Google Maryland Centers for Independent Living. It should pop up with all of them, but I'm happy to share that information with anybody here as well. Um, and let's check the other chat really quick. And there was a please tilt more to camera. Apologize, I'm just seeing that now. And thanks so much. That was so helpful. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Um, and then voc rehab question mark. And a vocational rehab definitely could be a situation where somebody might want something like this. Um, absolutely. And I will stay here for another minute or so. Oh, and that was for funding. And that's a great comment. And I cannot speak too much to that, but that might be a good avenue to explore. And I appreciate that, Lauren. Um, and as always, please don't hesitate to email me. I'm going to type that in the chat right now for anyone who might not have my email. It is james.whitney number one at maryland.gov. That's JAM as in Mary, ES, period, WHIT, N as in Nancy, EY, the number one at Maryland spelled out dot GOV as in Victor. I'm happy to answer any questions on email or phone call 410-554-9276. I am going to stop recording now. And thank you again.